Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week in the Sky Garden. It's amazing how things change once the garden reaches peak summer. Just a few weeks ago, we were watching flowers appear and tiny vegetables begin to form. Now we're harvesting fresh produce almost every day, and the balcony is starting to provide a steady supply of vegetables for the kitchen. This week has been especially exciting because we've harvested our first large sweet mystery pepper. As you may know, this plant was supposed to be a standard bell pepper, but thanks to a mislabeled nursery plant, it's become one of the biggest surprises of the season. Thankfully, this mystery variety turned out to be sweet, crisp, and absolutely delicious. The cherry tomatoes are also beginning to produce in earnest. Every few days, there are more ripe tomatoes waiting to be picked, and that's exactly what every gardener hopes to see this time of year. We'll also harvest another beautiful radish, gather some fresh green onions, check out the overall health of the garden, and mix another batch of fertilizer to keep everything growing strong through the hottest weeks of the summer. Let's head out to the balcony and see what's happening in week 11 of the Sky Garden. Alright, welcome to 2026 Sky Garden, week 11. The plants are getting huge. So we'll start down here where we always start. We have the 5-year-old chive plant hiding back behind the pepper bush. So there's that one. Next up we have what we think are Cubanella peppers. Bunch of peppers down there in the bottom. Put some lettuce down in the bottom. So we'll have some lettuce in a few weeks. So these plants are getting pretty big here. Next up, another Cubanella. Again, we have some peppers on here. There we go. And some more lettuce down the bottom there. Getting way up there. Next up we have the cowhorn peppers, we think. So again, there's a noisy truck. Again, there's a whole bunch of peppers on there. And in the bottom we have some green onions. Then we have our parsley plant. As you can see, the leaves are starting to get a little bit yellow. I think it needs some fertilizer. That would be a major sign of fertilizer deficiency. Same with the parsley plant. It needs some leaves trimmed off and some fertilizer. Then we have the next cowhorn pepper. And we have some green onions down in the bottom of that. Then next up we have our cherry tomatoes, Sweet Million cherry tomatoes, way up to almost the ceiling again. And I just lowered them down. I took the buckets out of the bottom. There's one with a bucket. These ones don't have buckets. And look at the bunches of tomatoes on there. Bunches all over. So I've been harvesting those quite a bit. Having a little salad with those. Then next up we have our beefsteak tomatoes. There's a bunch on there. Growing very, very slowly. There's a bunch. And then there's one little lonely guy down here. Then some more Sweet Millions. All kinds on there. Again, getting way up to the ceiling. Then we have aroma tomato. There's a really big one back in there. So there's a few on there. Still having a problem with that blossom end rot, so I'm really trying to keep up on the watering. However, the watering takes about 20 gallons of water every day, and I have to do it 3 times a day. Then next up, cucumber plant. Look at all those flowers on there. Those are all male flowers. And the female flowers with the little cucumbers on it, as you can see right there, one little teeny one, they've been shriveling up and falling off. So what that means is they're not getting pollinated. So I've been trying to hand pollinate them by picking off a male flower and rubbing it into a female flower. There's another tiny little cucumber. We'll see if any of these actually develop into cucumbers. Now look at how high this guy's getting. It's way up there, climbing on the pigeon netting, which I didn't really want it to do, but not much I can do about it unless I want to cut it down, which I obviously do not want to do. I'm trying to train this to go this way, across the top, over the top of some of these other plants. So we will see if my hand pollination does any good. Then we have another Roma tomato down here with a bunch of Romas on it. There's a bunch, woo, holy. There's a bunch of Romas on there. Now I have to get in here to the next section of the garden, and there's all kinds of plants in the way, so I gotta try to move those out of the way. Squeeze by here. Alright. Holy. Then we have another Roma tomato with a bunch on there. Now these Roma tomatoes are determinate style, so they only grow so big, and I think we're just about at our limit here, so that's why I'm letting the cucumbers grow across the top. Then we have our ghost peppers. You can see a bunch of those on there. My sister-in-law is gonna love those. Again, these are supposed to be determinate, but they're growing pretty tall. Then we have some radishes down in the bottom. You can see right there is a radish. And then some more radishes over here on the jalapeno plant. All kinds of jalapenos going on there. Even way up here. And then we have another jalapeno plant with tons of jalapenos on there. All the way down the bottom. Some more radishes. Then we have our bean plant. I picked off all the beans, and it's starting to get some more beans on it. You can see some little tiny beans on there. Lots of flowers. So we're gonna get another round of beans. As long as you keep picking them, it keeps on producing. Then over here we have our bunching onions, or green onions. A bunch of those there. And then this is our pepper plant that was kind of messed up because I left it in the small pot too long. I tried to put some lettuce in the bottom there, but it didn't really work out too well. Then we have another Roma style tomato, which has got a couple of tomatoes on it, but this is another one that I started from seed. So the ones I started from seed didn't do quite as well as the ones that I bought from the store. Okay, now I gotta get back out of here. Then we have a couple of pots with spinach, but unfortunately I planted it too late, and we had that really hot spell, which made it go to seed. But anyways, I'm gonna have to sacrifice one of those buckets for my 5-year-old chive plant, because I'll show you here in a second. Just want to turn around. Don't want to turn around too fast, make everybody dizzy. So here is the chive plant again, and as you can see, the bucket keeps breaking. This is one of the old buckets that I had from the original garden way back, and it's gotten all brittle and it's starting to break apart. So before it completely falls apart, I want to transplant that into a new bucket. So there you have it, the balcony forest sky garden, week 11. I'll be back shortly with the clips from the harvests from this week. I got a few little harvests, and also a little more about the mystery peppers. Thanks for watching. The garden has entered one of the most rewarding stages of the growing season. Every container is healthy, the foliage remains deep green, and nearly every crop is producing something worth harvesting. The consistent watering schedule, regular feeding, and container system continues to provide excellent growing conditions despite the summer heat. Today's harvest starts with another handful of beautiful cherry tomatoes. The plants are now producing enough ripe fruit that harvesting has become a regular part of the routine. Tomatoes have excellent color, smooth skins, and are developing that rich, sweet flavor that only vine-ripened tomatoes can provide. With plenty more fruit still hanging on the vines, the harvest should continue increasing over the coming weeks. This week's radish turned out beautifully. It developed into a smooth, bright red bulb with crisp white flesh inside. Container-grown radishes mature quickly and provide one of the easiest fresh vegetables of the season, making them an excellent choice for small space gardens. One of the highlights of this week's harvesting is our very first large sweet mystery pepper. Originally purchased as a bell pepper, this plant surprised us by producing a completely different variety. Fortunately, this mystery pepper turns out to have thick, juicy walls and a wonderfully sweet flavor. Cutting it open reveals firm, crisp flesh with only a small number of developing seeds, which is perfectly normal for a pepper harvested while it's still green. Allowing future peppers to fully ripen will likely produce even sweeter fruit and more mature seeds. Sometimes the biggest surprises in the garden turn out to be the best ones. Seeing this week's harvest together is incredibly satisfying. Fresh cherry tomatoes, crisp green onions, a vibrant radish, and our first sweet mystery pepper all came from a relatively small balcony garden. It's another reminder that you don't need a large backyard to grow an impressive amount of fresh food. To keep the plants producing through the peak of summer, another batch of water-soluble fertilizer is mixed according to the recommended strength. The familiar pink nutrient solution has become part of the weekly routine and continues to support healthy foliage, strong flowering, and steady fruit production across the entire garden. Consistent feeding, especially for container-grown vegetables, helps replace the nutrients that are quickly used up through watering and rapid summer growth. Over the next week, we should begin seeing even more ripe tomatoes ready for harvest. additional sweet peppers reaching full size, continued production from the herbs and the onions, and hopefully beginning of color changes on some of the remaining peppers. The busiest harvest weeks of the season are just beginning. Another week, another rewarding harvest, and another reminder that the garden is always full of surprises. From our sweet mystery pepper to another growing bowl of fresh vegetables. The Sky Garden continues to prove that even a modest balcony can become a productive vegetable garden with a little planning and consistent care. Thank you for following along throughout this growing season. I truly appreciate everyone who watches, leaves comments, asks questions, and shares their own gardening experience. It's wonderful seeing gardeners from all over growing food in their backyards, patios, balconies, and small urban spaces. If you enjoyed this week's update, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss future garden updates, recipes, and gardening tips. Next week we'll see how much larger the tomato harvest becomes, whether more mystery peppers are ready to pick, and what other surprises the Sky Garden has in store. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy every harvest, big or small. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in week 12.